Bargain Bin Ballard has graduated to Blockbuster Ballard here on trade deadline day. Let's get to it.
You are Locked On Colts, your daily Indianapolis Colts podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you, everyone, for making Locked On Colts your first listen every single day. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. This episode is brought to you by Mazda. Like our players, we sweat every single detail because when you make every move count, pulling off the unexpected is only the beginning. Stay tuned later for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. Mazda, move and be moved. And hello, everyone. My name is Zach Hicks, your resident film nerd of HorseshoeHuddle.com. And of course, I am joined, as always, by Jake Arthur, the credentialed boots on the ground for Round Table Sports. Guys, we have some big news to talk about on today's episode, which is a big part of us going live here at 1:30 on a Tuesday instead of our typical time, because the Colts have made a blockbuster trade. They have sent 2 first-round picks and young wide receiver A.D. Mitchell for Sauce Gardner, former All-Pro with the New York Jets, 2-time Pro Bowler as well. The Colts are not playing around this season by making this win-now move. So we're going to just talk about our immediate reaction to this insane trade on trade deadline day, probably the biggest name I have ever seen on a trade deadline day in the NFL. Then we're going to dive into what this means for the Colts defense the rest of the way, and then get into the conversation, like, does this make the Colts true contenders in the AFC now? But Jake, coming into today, you and I pushed back a little bit with some people saying, like, oh, Chris Ballard's not going to do anything. He's not going to do anything. Because, like, what we've seen from him all year is he hasn't sat on his hands this season in particular. He had his most aggressive free agency of all time this past offseason. They've continually added guys like Jermaine Pratt, Xavier Howard, Mekhi Blackman prior to the season. Like, they have not sat on their hands when it came to adding to this roster this year. So you and I were very big advocates of, like, yeah, the Colts are probably going to bring somebody in on trade deadline day. And heck, I was even sitting down watching Alontae Taylor film because that was the guy who I thought it was going to be on today. But lo and behold, it's not Alontae Taylor, who I think would have been a fine addition for this Colts team. It's, again, former All-Pro Sauce Gardner, a guy who, just 2-3 years ago was in the running for best cornerback in football. And even though the play has dropped off a little bit the last 2 seasons, he's still like a top 15 corner in the league with some of the tackling issues and stuff that have popped up. So yeah, the Colts are making an insane, crazy, big-time move to get this player here in Indy, but Sauce Gardner to the Colts, I mean, gosh, or anyone who said that Chris Ballard was going to sit on his hands and not make a move, this is a move for sure. It's one of the biggest moves I've ever seen in trade deadline in football history.
Yeah, no, I knew they were combing the streets out there, seeing what they could turn up, but I didn't know Sauce Gardner was really on the table. I knew they wanted, if they were going to make a move, it wasn't just going to be a guy, it was going to be a swing. But again, didn't know it was going to be a Sauce Gardner type. I was thinking Alontae Taylor, just like you, maybe like high-end Reek Woolen if they could get that done. But no, this is, it's kind of a steep price. 2 first-round picks and A.D. Mitchell. Obviously, like, that is the richest trade that Chris Ballard has made with the Colts and maybe ever will make. But at the same time, on the surface, that looks like a ton, and it is. But they think they're getting a Super Bowl out of this. You know what I mean? Like, this is a short-term and long-term investment, because obviously you get a guy right now who can help you immediately. It not only patches a hole, it adds to your group to make it even better, like they've been doing. They've been just kind of slapping Band-Aids the entire year, but you put a Sauce Gardner opposite a Charvarius Ward, and then you have Cam Bynum and Nick Cross in the secondary. Number one, that helps your pass rush finally get forward, because you have guys that can cover for longer and make quarterbacks take a second longer to get the ball out. It helps the whole thing, but you don't make a move that costly without thinking that you're legitimate Super Bowl contenders. And also, I know the Colts didn't really want to make a swing like this without it also being a multi-year investment, because if you're going to pay a huge price, you want the player for more than 10 games. You know what I mean? Yeah. So he signed a 4-year extension worth like $120 million this offseason. So you've got Ward and Bynum and Sauce Gardner now for multiple years. So their window has now just been kicked open by the Kool-Aid Man.
Yeah, and a big thing with this too that I really want to just add is this isn't just a 1-year move like just for this season. Sauce
Mm-hmm.
Gardner, according to Spotrac, and again we'll see more with the contract details coming up, but the Colts over the next 25 games, so the rest of this season and all of next season, are paying around $10 million of cap hit for Sauce Gardner. That's $10 million for a season and a half of play of a guy who, again, at worst is going to be one of the better starting corners in football. So you really are looking at like a 2-year window now for this team to go and win a Super Bowl. And I know that sounds crazy from where we're coming from before the season, but when you make a move like this, it's signifying that this is all in. This is the move. When we joked in years past about like all in, like this is what we're actually talking about. This is not, the all-in move of trading Naeem Hines for Zach Moss and stuff like that. This is going for an all-pro corner at 25 years old, who's been doing some, again, in his career, been very, very good player. So, this is absolute insanity. I will say this is the best team that the Colts have had under Chris Ballard. Yeah. I know back in 2018 they had Andrew Luck, and you always want to say with Andrew Luck, it means that, things are better, but that team wasn't ready to compete for a Super Bowl. It was in the early makings of getting there. This Colts team this year, they have one of the best offenses in football. I know they had a step back this past week, but it's still one of the best offenses in football. And the defense, I think, was showing some good things. They just needed a little bit more on the outside. Now, coming out of the bye, they're going to have Charvarius Ward and Sauce Gardner on the outside, two probably of the, I would say if you put all the corners in a bucket, they're probably two of like the top 5 best scheme fits for Lou Anarumo in the entire league. And it's going to open up everything they want to do on that side of the ball, which we'll talk about more in the second segment. So yeah, man, like this really is like a 2-year window now for the Colts. They have 2025, 2026, where they're really going all in, with Sauce Gardner only being around, again, $10 million in cap hit over the next 25 games. You get Alec Pierce back here after the season as well to really go in for next year. This is, look, again, for all the complaints we've had about Chris Ballard just being too passive, not really taking a swing, at the end of the day, this is a swing. This is the biggest swing he has ever taken. And I just don't know if you can be on both sides of that, where it's like, he never takes a risk. He never takes a swing. Like, yeah, this is a massive risk. Giving up 2 first-round picks, which are cheap contracts that have 5 years potentially on them, is a big-time risk in the NFL, especially when money is so valuable in this league. And then A.D. Mitchell, a guy with a lot of potential who I don't know if he was ever going to hit it, but I still think he has the ability to hit that potential. That's a lot to give up for any player in the NFL, especially a non-quarterback in the NFL. But look, man, if you want the risk, this is the risk. You're swinging for a guy who fits your system, fits your scheme, and helps you get where you want to go on that side of the ball when you already have one of the best offenses in football. So, the Colts are really not trying to waste what they have on offense. They know they have this 2-year window, and they took that big-time swing on Sauce Gardner. So we'll see if it pans out. But, gosh, if you have any complaints about the Colts not taking the risk, this is the risk you're looking for right here.
Yeah, no kidding. And to me, this just screams that they have true belief and conviction in where they're going. You're gonna now re-sign Daniel Jones after this, because you send off 2 first-round picks. That's what you would use to get a new quarterback, obviously. So you have belief in the quarterback that's there, and then A.D. Mitchell. He was the guy who we always said, maybe they can't get Alec Pierce back. Well, the long-term threat to Alec Pierce is now out the door. And, I don't want us to totally gloss over A.D. Mitchell. I do want to say good for him. The Colts had the luxury to allow him to be in the doghouse and slow play it with him, and they had guys to play over him. I've kind of thought, if he goes somewhere with an opportunity to actually play, because the guy needs snaps and he needs to mature on the field, he could ball out. Now, I'm not in love with the quarterback situation there in New York, but this is a great opportunity for him. So, sorry it didn't work out with A.D. Mitchell here, but great opportunity ahead for him. And if you're the Colts, it's on and let's ride. That's what they're telling us now.
Yeah, one minor thing I want to add to this is, to me, signifies that Pierce is 100% coming back after this season. One, Sauce Gardner is one of his closest friends from college. They spent 3 years together at college, and they hang out in the offseason and stuff like that. But also, again, giving up the guy who is supposed to be Pierce's successor in this trade tells me that you're not letting Pierce walk after this season. They'll if they have to tag him, they'll tag him, which sounds kind of crazy. But Pierce has been that good this year. One of 23 receivers over 500 yards this season. The only one under 30 receptions to get to 500 yards on the year.
2 games.
Yeah, and missing multiple games. Yeah, it's crazy what he's doing this year. So yeah, on the quick receiver front, like Pierce will be back after the season. But coming up, guys, we're going to talk about this Colts defense. What was seen to be like the weakness of this Colts team, all of a sudden they go from starting Xavier Howard at the beginning of the year to having Sauce Gardner and Charvarius Ward out there. What does this mean for Lou Anarumo in this Colts system going forward?
All right, guys, nobody likes paying rent, but if you must, then you might as well get something for it. And that's where BILT comes in. BILT's changing the game by turning your rent payments into real rewards that you can actually use. When you pay rent through BILT, you earn flexible points that can be redeemed towards hundreds of hotels and airlines, a future rent payment, which is huge, your next Lyft ride, and more. But BILT isn't just about rent. It's about rewarding you around the entire neighborhood. I love that with BILT, your rent finally works for you. You're earning points every month on something that you already have to pay. Whether you're grabbing food at your favorite local restaurant or heading to the gym, you're still earning points. So turn your rent into rewards and start earning points around your neighborhood by going to joinbilt.com/lockedonnfl. That's joinbilt.com/lockedonnfl. Make sure to use that link so that they know we sent you. Welcome back, everydayers. Thanks for making us your first post-trade listen. We're not even at the deadline yet. We still got like a little over 2 hours. Talking about a little bit of news. The Colts made a little splash getting Sauce Gardner from the New York Jets. They send 2 first-round picks and wide receiver A.D. Mitchell in exchange. We just discussed how this is obviously an all-chips-in move. The Colts are buying themselves, and they believe that this is the kind of move that puts them over the hump now and for at least the next couple of years. So let's talk about this defense, Zach. I mean, we've said all along, in order for Lou Anarumo to be able to pull the strings he needs to pull and get this defense how he wants it, they're going to have to be able to use the man coverage that they really covet, and they couldn't be just because of all the amount of injuries. And I mean, Charvarius Ward's on IR right now. So like everything is just kind of by the seat of your pants at the moment. So now by the time you get to Kansas City, you're going to have Sauce Gardner and Charvarius Ward.
Hopefully,
you're going to
hopefully Ward by that.
Yeah,
by that point.
That's the plan at least. And then you're going to have a defensive front that's kind of turning it on lately. Latu's coming off 2.5 sacks, so we know coverage and pressure works in concert. So, what are your immediate thoughts about this and the impact on the defense?
Yeah, I will say, watching a lot of the games earlier this season, it was so obvious that Lou Anarumo wanted to play more press man coverage. From week 1 this season, I mean, getting a guy like Xavier Howard in here, they just wanted big physical corners that can play press man coverage. That's also why they picked Jonathan Edwards over a guy like Samuel Womack in the offseason as well. Edwards, a 6'2", 200-pound guy running a 4.3. They just wanted that size and speed and physicality at the line of scrimmage. So now you had a guy like Sauce Gardner, where again, you can have your complaints with Gardner the last couple of years for sure. You know, like he has not been what he had been early in his career, but at the end of the day, this is a huge corner with good speed and physicality at the line of scrimmage who's just going to be in the receivers' faces. So at the end of the day, it helps that the most. Like they're going to be in press man coverage a ton the rest of this season. I think this also opens up the defense to blitzing a lot more, because you really only seen blitzing on like third and medium, third and long, just to get that ball out quick. But now that you are having guys like Gardner and Ward on the outside when Ward is back, Lou's going to feel comfortable putting those guys on an island and blitzing, just leaving Bynum over the top and telling those guys, hey, play inside leverage and attack anything that breaks inside, because over the top, you're going to have Bynum protecting you. So you're going to feel comfortable bringing Franklin on blitzes, bringing, who knows, you'll go into dime personnel and you'll have cross blitzing and have Mekhi Blackman covering the fifth option in the fourth or fifth option in the passing game, whatever it's going to be. So yeah, I think they're going to blitz a lot more. I think they're going to play a lot more press man coverage, like a ton of press man coverage the rest of the way. And it's going to be a very different Colts defense, but this is what Lou has wanted to do all season long. He just hasn't had the dogs needed at corner because of all the injuries. I mean, this is what we would have seen with Justin Wally and Ward to start the season. Oh my gosh, Justin Wally's coming back next year. I just realized that. Oh, that's going to be so much fun. But yeah, it's going to be so much press man coverage. It's going to be a lot of blitzing. I think it opens up the Colts to disguising a lot more on the back end, because you don't feel like you need to just shift things over to cover up, a weakness of, again, Xavier Howard, Mekhi Blackmon, Cameron Mitchell, Jonathan Edwards. Like, you don't need to kind of cover those guys up now. You're going to get, Ward and Gardner on the outside. Like, it's crazy what this does flexibility wise. So again, for everyone just kind of being like, yeah, this is a little bit of an overpay. At the end of the day, like, this might propel the Colts to being like a top 10 defense this year. And if the Colts offense even keeps up a semblance of what they've been doing, and you get like a top 10 defense, I mean, they are going to be a tough out in the playoffs. So yeah, man, I think it's crazy what he does to this defense the next 2 years. And again, your win now window is the next 2 years with what you're going to have on the outside with Ward and Gardner, and what you're going to be able to do with press coverage and blitzing for Lou Anarumo. He's going to come after quarterbacks now. And by and large, that also fixes the pass rush a little bit, because now you can bring 6-7 guys a little bit more comfortably than what you could before, when you're leaving a guy like Blackmon or leaving a guy like Edwards alone on the outside. So yeah, I think they're going to be a lot more aggressive on defense now, because they have these two weapons on the outside at cornerback.
Yeah, I mean, just when they're at full strength, just think about it. You're going to have Jalen Jones, who is just a top cornerback, over DK Metcalf. Him and Mekhi Blackmon, who started like all year, those are going to be like your fourth and fifth corners. Like, that's crazy. So, Charvarius Ward, Kenny Moore on the inside, obviously, and now Sauce Gardner. We haven't really talked about other quarterbacks in the conference much this year, but it always comes back to that. Like, if you're going to make a deep playoff run, you have to have an offense that's going to be able to match Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, but you got to be able to throw some semblance of a defense that stands a chance at life against those guys too. And not only is this like just a general win now, big Super Bowl window move, it's also something to directly combat the Josh Allens of the world and Patrick Mahomes and everything. So when you do meet them in the playoffs, you give yourselves a much better chance at not only surviving, but getting past them and getting to the Super Bowl, because again, that is what this is all about. So
yeah,
I love the idea of Lou Anarumo now having even more at his disposal to actually put forth the defense that we were all hoping to see. Because look back at week 1 when they were essentially at full strength. I mean, the Dolphins have turned out to not be very much, but they had all the pieces in place that we have seen be explosive over the last few years. Like, that was a dominant defensive performance against a team that had some real tools. So if you can get back to looking like that, that was great pressure, that was great coverage, that was great scheme and coaching. I'm just really looking forward to seeing that. Now, in the short term, I mean, they've got a game in Germany. Not only would they try and fit him in this week, but they've got travel on top of that. So, shoot, they've been able to fit guys in on short notice and get some playing time out of them. So maybe we see Sauce this week against the Falcons.
Oh, I bet we do see him at least a little bit this week. Maybe it's not like a full workload, but I think they're going to get him out there, and they'll have him at least on a lot of third downs this weekend. And then after the bye, you get it's actually great that where the bye week is for the Colts, because you get this one game with Gardner, against. I'm not trying to speak down on the Falcons, because I think the Falcons are better than their record states, but the Falcons are probably the worst team the Colts play the rest of the season. If you can get through that game, you get a whole bye week to acclimate Sauce Gardner for this defense, and also potentially get Mooney Ward back on the outside. And you could come out of the bye week against the Kansas City Chiefs with the best cornerback duo in football, alongside Kenny Moore in the slot, alongside Cameron Bynum up top, alongside Nick Cross and all the versatility that he brings. Like, I'm very, very excited for what this defense can look like. And again, I just being able to play press man coverage, being able to blitz a lot more, it solves a lot of the issues they've had on defense. And again, if you're going to blitz more linebackers, for instance, what's our biggest concern in coverage right now outside of the corner position had been the linebackers in coverage, right? So now if we're going to go to these like dime looks where Mekhi Blackmon's all of a sudden your worst cover guy on the field, and you have like a Franklin or a Pratt out there on third down, you're going to be able to blitz those guys because you don't have to worry about them in coverage because you have your press man guys on the outside. So yeah, I think this is just going to be a good fit for them. You are banking on Gardner getting back to what he was in his first 2 years. If you're giving up this much, right, you're banking on him becoming that all-pro corner again. But the Colts have familiarity here. They have Alec Pierce here. They have Brian Mason here, two guys who have been instrumental in the early part of Sauce's career. Like back in college, they were all like really close and stuff like that. So you bring him back to this environment, and also you're bringing him into a winning culture, a team that's winning football games this year. That helps a lot for a guy getting back to what he was. So yeah, I think it's a good bet to take. And again, if you think your offense is this all-time great offense, which it has been to start the season, go all in. Like if it burns, if it crashes and burns, you're not going to be here by the end of it anyway. So why not go all in, right?
Yeah, I've got to imagine this is plenty rejuvenating for him. And we're going to finish this up here in a moment, guys. What does this mean? Again, short term, how it works complementary with the offense. What are, some of the, even just postseason and off-season ramifications from this? We're going to talk about that in just a moment. All right, guys, the NBA is back, and there is no better place to get in on all the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score the next fourth quarter comebacks, who's going to hit the next three-pointer, free throws, what have you. Plus, you can even combine everything together into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps getting more exciting every single game, and the NBA is loaded with action, especially when your team is making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head over to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, welcome back, everydayers. We are talking the Colts trade for Sauce Gardner. Again, if you have missed it, they sent 2 first-round picks, one next year, one in 2027, and second-year receiver A.D. Mitchell to the New York Jets in exchange for former All-Pro cornerback Sauce Gardner. So, the Colts took one on the chin last week, Zach. We're kind of not totally erasing that, but in general, this is a 7-2 football team atop the AFC, with an offense that, again, just took one on the chin pretty badly, but throughout the season has been on a historic scoring pace. And now you add who, even at his worst right now, is a top dozen corner in the NFL. Still.
Yeah, his absolute worst. Yeah.
Yeah, like he was crowned the top corner in the NFL after his rookie year and followed it up with arguably an even better one the next year. So this is a guy who I think this is year 4 for him. The Jets believed enough in him to give him like a $30 million per year extension this offseason. You're plopping that into a defense that has survived this season despite like a crazy amount of injuries in the secondary.
Yeah. No, it's go time for this Colts team right now. For how we were kind of going through these first few weeks or whatever of the season, where it's like, oh my gosh, the Colts are off to this great start, and hey, the offense feels legit. They're doing against, they had good days against like the Rams. I know the Rams day wasn't perfect, but they did a good job against the Rams. A great day against the Chargers. A great day against the Broncos. So even as we were kind of buying into the offense, it wasn't like, oh, they really like contenders this year. Is it really like, do the Colts believe that they are contenders? When you make a move like this, you are saying we are going for contending this year and again next year as well, because it's only $9.5 million on the cap hit for him next year. So they have their 2-year window, man. It is all in on these 2 years. It's about loading up as much as possible for this year and next year. They'll have Jones back. They'll have Pierce back next year as well. Yeah, man, they're going to be going for it, which is crazy. I mean, again, Chris Ballard has never been like this with this Colts team. So he definitely saw something behind the scenes with this team that said he values it enough to go for it. And now it's just all hands on deck. I mean, again, they have arguably the best offense in football. I know they had to step back this past week, but they were still right there for most of that game. as well, even with the 6 turnovers, which you got to assume is going to regress back to at least normal-ish numbers there. When healthy now, you can argue they have the best secondary in football. They have a defensive coach that is willing to be fun and just over the top and all over the place with what they're doing on defense. And that's kind of what's winning right now, is that diversity of attack on defense as well. I mean, I think that they just have a lot of the ingredients you're looking for of a contending team. All they really need to do now is just stay the course, do what they're doing, and get some bounces that go their way come playoff time. And I could see them being a contending team, but like Jake, like right now, like there's no excuse not to say they're not a contending football team right now. They have the ingredients. They just need to keep doing what they've been doing.
Yeah, without question. And you would kind of mention the timing of this earlier. I'm actually in love with the timing of this. Now, again, today is the trade deadline. They didn't come up with that. So obviously you have this Falcons game, very winnable, but it's a toss-up because it's in Germany. We just don't know. You got the bye after that, but then you've got a really, really tough stretch. You got Chiefs, Texans, Jags, Seahawks, who might be the best team in football right now, 49ers, Jags, and Texans again. So we know not to take those division games lightly. You obviously can't take the 49ers on Monday Night Football lightly. And then again, a showdown maybe between the AFC's best versus the NFC's best. You've kind of got a gauntlet coming up. The strength of schedule in general is whatever it is, but we know that this is a tough, tough slate coming up. And you now have kind of the dogs to not only hang with the punches there, but they should probably be favorites in each of these, except for maybe the Seahawks.
Yeah, well, and also you get like just a good chance to see where your team is at, right? You load up right before the bye week. You get the bye week just to get him acclimated. And then the rest of the season, like, look, the Colts are pretty much playoff bound at this point. They're gonna scrape together at least 3 more wins to make the playoffs, right, this year, because that's basically what you need. So they're essentially playoff bound. Now they get this tough stretch of divisional games with, you know, good opponents like the Seahawks coming in here and stuff, or us going out to the Seahawks. They get all this chance to just show where they're at, you know, as a team, throw some good punches with some of the best teams in football and show kind of just how ready they are. And they can also just get that chance to be battle tested the rest of the way as well. So load up before that, come out of the bye week ready to go, and then exchange some punches with the Chiefs and the Seahawks and some of the best teams in football. I think it's a great opportunity for this Colts team. I think not many teams get this chance where you can essentially be playoff bound by the halfway point of the season, and then you can use the remaining parts of your schedule just to like be like a litmus test for how ready you are and just kind of build up those calluses that you need for the playoffs. So they have a great opportunity in front of them. And I think Sauce Gardner helps in a lot of ways for them. So yeah, I think we're going to be talking about this team a lot going into the dog days of this season, and then also into the playoffs. I think they're going to be right there throughout the rest of this thing here.
Now, just for me to be a hater real quick, what should the expectations be like? Because this should elevate expectations sky high, especially the price of this trade, not only for the defense, but Gardner in general. Like, what has to happen for this to be a move that was well worth the price?
Yeah, I mean, for one thing, for it to be like well worth the price, you just need to have the success in terms of wins. You know, he can be terrible, but if you're winning games, like, who's going to care? You know, if you get to the AFC Championship game or you know, God forbid, the Super Bowl, it doesn't matter what Sauce Gardner looks like. You're fine with that, you know, of getting there. But in terms of like what you need to see, you know, when you make a move like this, it's to propel the defense into this upper echelon that you're going for, because you're buying the offense, you know, you're buying in on what the offense is doing. You need this defense to be a lot more complimentary, a lot better overall. I mean, they're one of the worst third down defenses in football, get better on third downs for sure. So you really want to see this defense kind of creep up to like that top 10 range the rest of the way, even with the gauntlet they have to end the season, because you are making this win now move. So yeah, you want this to kind of turn into a lot more success on defense. And we'll see what happens there. But I think overall, at the end of the day, it's just get those wins. You know, like, it's kind of like when they made the move for Daniel Jones to start at quarterback, where it's like when you make win now moves, it doesn't really matter how that particular move pans out. It just matters the result. You know, at the end of the day, it matters if you're winning. You know, if you're winning now when you make that move, that's kind of just the most important thing there. So It's just on them to turn this into wins. And I think a big part of that will be what Sauce brings to the defense, obviously. But yeah, just continue building up that defense and offense, get back on track. And they should be one of the better teams in the AFC. I mean, they've already been one of the best teams in the AFC this year, but I think that they can be, they can take this to another level if Sauce Gardner regains that early career form, especially.
I'm just really looking forward to getting to the facility tomorrow.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, we talked to Shane, of course. I mean, we'll see if Sauce is there and available to talk. Him and AD are obviously going to have to take physicals for this all to even go through. So we'll see if he's available to speak. We'll see if Chris is available to speak. He doesn't normally speak mid-season, but he just kind of made an enormous move. So, yeah, hang with us, guys. I'll have a bunch from the facility tomorrow. We'll be talking to everybody, and it'll be pretty good.
Yeah, no, it's going to be fun. And also, guys, if they make another move today, because there's still 2 hours left before the trade deadline, and look, they're going all in right now. Who knows if they make another move? If they make another move, we will be back here again today to talk to you guys if they make another significant move. So don't go anywhere, I guess, because we might be back later. But as of right now, the Colts add, again, I think this is one of the best scheme fits in football for Lou Anarumo's defense, a big physical fast corner with an all-pro pedigree. Regardless of the price, I think that this Colts team is showing that they're willing to go for it this season with the way their offense is played. So we do want to thank you guys for making Locked On Colts your first listen today and every single day. The NFL season's finally here. So for your next listen, get a double dose of Locked On NFL podcast. Tyler, the Madman Rowland, gives you a shot of espresso to start your day, while Tony Wiggins takes you into the barbershop for the smoothest breakdowns to end the day. Find Locked On NFL on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. And if you guys want to become a Locked On Colts insider and chat with us directly and get that insider scoop, follow the link in our show notes. And if you don't already, make sure you're following at Locked On Colts, at Jake Arthur NFL, and at Zach Hicks 2 on socials. Also, subscribe to us on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. We love your guys' ratings and views. You guys have a great rest of your day. Celebrate. Talk all about Sauce Gardner to your friends and family. And we'll catch you guys back here probably tomorrow. But again, we'll leave that door open just in case they make another move later on today.